and Segregation in Education, and we're talking to Ms. Wynn and Ms. Epperson. And of course, Ms. Wynn, before we had our second break, we were talking about some of the artifacts that are located in the museum at the Martin Luther King Magnet School, which was formerly the old Pearl High School. And let's talk about some of the other artifacts in that museum.
Interesting artifacts are they have the original graduation program from the very first class, from the class of 1897, 1898. In the African American community, to find an artifact like that sometimes is unusual. They have all of the class pictures just about from all of the classes with the exception of a few. Basketball trophies. It was something called the Pearl High Voice. They have all, I believe, all of those issues available. So it is a, you can just go in there and do a wealth of research on Pearl High School just from what is located in the archives. Or what, the museum and the archives, as I like to call it.
I think, Ms. Epperson, one of the things, activities that's connected with this centennial celebration is a fundraising activity. And over the last 5 minutes that we have, let's have you and Ms. Wynn give us some information about the various kinds of fundraising activities that you're going to be involved in and what you would like for people to do in order to assist you between now and the beginning of your centennial celebration.
The most significant activity right now is the construction of a sidewalk on the Joe Johnson side of Pearl High School with the entry into the old gymnasium. That sidewalk will consist of 2,000 bricks. Anyone interested in purchasing a brick can do so at a cost of $25. You need to contact Mr. Melvin Black to get the information about those bricks, and I think that'll be very interesting. We have more than 2,000 graduates of the school, so it'll be on a first-come, first-served basis.
And so you're going to use this brick purchase as part of your fundraising activity. Right. Now, what are you planning on doing with the funds after you raise them outside of the construction of that sidewalk?
Scholarships, additions to the museum.
And so you've already got many plans in terms of using that money. Let's, Ms. Wynn, let's talk about the significance of a Pearl High School. I think that before we leave today, we ought to, at least in our own minds, give people some idea about how significant Pearl High School was and the experience for those who became involved. Let's use the two of you. How significant was that high school to you, Ms. Wynn?
It was very significant. When I go back and think about some of the teachers that were there and those who molded us. For instance, Minerva Hawkins, who was in history and inspired the chair of the Civil Rights Commission, Mary Frances Berry. She inspired me to go into history. When I think about Mrs. Mary Walker, the late Mary Walker, who was very instrumental in making sure you learned how to write. You learned your grammar, you learned English, you learned literature. Certainly one cannot forget the principal, Mr. Hall. He, like she said, he knew your family. I can remember walking in, and he looked at me and immediately said, "You're a Coleman." And I said, "Well, no, I'm a..." He says, "But your mother was a Coleman." So he knew the school was very instrumental, I think, in your growth, not only intellectually, but socially. I think the teachers instilled in you to be politically astute. It was a comprehensive kind of education that went outside the bounds of academics. It prepared you, they prepared you into life, not only just the faculty, but the staff, janitorial staff. It was a family within a family, so to speak. So I think that the school was very instrumental, and sometimes I wonder if the children today are receiving that kind of nourishment from today's educational institutions.
Very good. Ms. Epperson, I think that when we talk about the significance of a Pearl High School, I think that you would sort of agree with us that, and as you've indicated earlier, that while it is in a segregated setting, for the most part, you did not feel as if you were receiving a, quote, segregated education. Am I correct in making that kind of statement?
Very correct. The instructors took personal time to add or enhance our education. I can remember Reverend Ewing spending his summers with math sessions, Miss Holland doing chemistry, Mr. Harris doing chemistry in the summer without pay. They were that interested in the students to encourage them to do as much as possible. Mrs. E.F. Walker, an English instructor, was very instrumental in encouraging people to write poetry, stories, and participating in a number of contests throughout the city. So, yeah, they enhanced the education.
Very good.
Beyond the
and let me, over the last 45 seconds that we have here, ladies, thank the two of you for coming by and giving us that excellent information on Pearl High School. And before we go, Ms. Wynn, let's have either of the two of you give us some information about your next celebration date. Now, that centennial celebration will be observed when now?
The second weekend of August.
Second weekend of August.
1998.
1998. That will be the celebration of the 100 years of activity of Pearl High School. And let me thank the two of you for coming by and giving us that information. And let me encourage you to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.